Welcome to AI Historical Reconstruction, where we peel back the layers of time to reveal the true cost of industrial progress. Before the smoke and the noise, Manchester was just a quiet market town, nestled peacefully among green fields and flowing rivers. But destiny had a different plan, transforming this rural landscape into a dark, throbbing engine that would soon power the entire world. The catalyst for this explosion was not magic, but the raw, unyielding power of steam, coal, and the relentless drive for profit. Manchester became the beating heart of a new era, drawing in resources from every corner of the globe to feed its hunger. They came in waves, leaving behind their farms and villages, drawn by the promise of work in the rising industrial giant. The population did not just grow, it exploded, soaring to over 300,000 souls by the middle of the 19th century. By this time, the city had transformed into a sprawling labyrinth of brick and iron, earning the famous nickname of Cottonopolis. Cotton was the white gold that fueled this transformation, arriving in endless tons to be spun into thread and woven into cloth. But cotton needed power, and that power came from the burning of coal, feeding the furnaces that kept the machines alive. These mills were massive structures that dominated the skyline, imposing and terrifying, dictating the daily lives of everyone living in their shadow. The factory whistle became the new church bell, signaling the start of a long, grueling shift that would exhaust body and mind. Inside, the sheer scale of the operation was overwhelming, a mechanical beast composed of spinning gears, flying shuttles, and vibrating floors. The rhythm of the work was not set by humans, but by the machines, which demanded constant attention and never grew tired. The noise was deafening, a constant roar that damaged hearing and made verbal communication almost impossible for the workers on the floor. The air was thick with cotton dust, a white fog that filled the lungs, causing chronic breathing problems and long-term illness. To prevent the cotton threads from snapping, the factories were kept hot and humid, turning the workspace into a suffocating, tropical environment. Many workers developed a condition known as bisonosis, or brown lung disease, a direct result of breathing in the fibre dust daily. Women made up a large portion of the workforce, their nimble fingers prized for the delicate task of piecing together broken threads. But perhaps the most tragic figures were the children, some as young as 5, forced to work in these dangerous conditions. These children were robbed of their childhood, spending 12 to 14 hours a day toiling in the shadow of the machines. Discipline was brutal and unforgiving. Mistakes or slowness were often met with physical punishment or fines that reduced their meagre wages. The machines were unguarded and hungry. Accidents were common, and many workers lost fingers or limbs to the relentless steel gears. Time seemed to stand still as the workday stretched on, often continuing late into the night under the dim glow of gaslight. When the whistle finally blew for the end of the shift, they emerged as ghosts, drained of energy, barely able to walk home. They returned not to comfortable homes, but to overcrowded slums that sprang up rapidly to house the exploding workforce of the city. Sanitation was non-existent in these districts. Waste flowed openly in the streets, creating a breeding ground for filth and deadly diseases. Entire families were often crammed into a single cellar or room, sleeping in shifts on rags, with no ventilation or clean water. Disease ran rampant through these neighbourhoods. Cholera and typhus were constant companions, claiming lives with terrifying speed and efficiency. The death toll was staggering. In the poorest areas of Manchester, the average life expectancy dropped to a shocking 26 years. The River Irwell, once a source of life, had become a river of ink, poisoned by chemical dyes and industrial waste. The smoke was inescapable, coating every building, street, and person in a layer of grime that could never be fully washed away. Observers like Friedrich Engels walked these streets, documenting the horror and describing Manchester as hell upon earth for the working class. Food was scarce and often adulterated. Workers survived on a diet of tea, bread, and oatmeal, lacking essential nutrients for health. Many sought refuge in the local pubs, trying to drown the sorrows of their hard lives in cheap alcohol and temporary camaraderie. Yet, despite the suffering, the wheels of industry kept turning, driven by a global demand that seemed to have no limit. Manchester was not an island. It was the spider at the centre of a vast web, exporting cloth to every continent. The goods produced in these dark mills found their way to markets in India, China, and the Americas, generating immense wealth. This global trade created a new class of wealthy industrialists who lived in opulence, far removed from the smoke of the factories. The contrast was stark. While the city produced riches for the few, the many who built it lived in abject poverty. But the supply chain had a darker origin. The raw cotton feeding Manchester's mills was picked by enslaved people in America. There was a direct tragic link between the whip of the slave driver in the South and the clock of the factory overseer. Ships crossed the Atlantic continuously, creating a transatlantic bridge of commerce built on the backs of forced labor on both sides. When the American Civil War broke out, the flow of cotton stopped, causing the Lancashire cotton famine and bringing misery to Manchester. Yet, remarkably, the workers of Manchester stood in solidarity with the enslaved, refusing to support the Confederacy despite their own starving families. This act of solidarity is remembered today, a testament to the moral strength of a people who had very little themselves. As the century progressed, the environmental toll became catastrophic. The city was often wrapped in a toxic smog that blocked the sun. Nature had been completely exiled. Trees withered and died, and the birds stopped singing, choked by the fumes of 1,000 chimneys. Acid rain fell from the skies, eroding stone and brick, a direct consequence of the sulfur dioxide pumped out by the factories. It was here that the first concerns about industrial pollution began to rise. Although profit continued to outweigh the health of the planet, technology did not stand still. Machines became faster and more efficient, demanding even more from the workers who tended to them. In the face of such adversity, the workers began to organize, forming the roots of the trade union movement to demand better conditions. Strikes and protests became common as the people fought for shorter hours, safer workplaces, and a fair share of the wealth. Slowly, very slowly, reforms were introduced. Laws were passed to limit child labor and mandate some education for the youngest workers. By the end of the century, Manchester was a city of contradictions, boasting grand architecture and civic pride amidst the industrial grime. The town hall stood as a palace of industry, a symbol of the immense wealth that had been generated within the city walls. Yet, places of learning and culture survived, planting the seeds for the city's future evolution beyond just manufacturing and textiles. But nothing lasts forever. The dominance of King Cotton eventually faded as competition grew, and the world changed in the 20th century. The great mills fell silent, their machines sold for scrap or left to rust, standing as hollow monuments to a bygone era. Today, Manchester has reinvented itself again, transforming these old factories into apartments, offices, and centres of art and culture. Where slums once stood, universities and parks now thrive, and the air is no longer thick with the smoke of coal. But we must never forget the foundations upon which this modern world was built, and the human price that was paid. From the Industrial Revolution to the digital age, this city has always been a pioneer, constantly pushing the boundaries of what is possible. The bricks of Manchester still hold the stories of the millions who lived, worked and died to build the industrial world. They stand as silent sentinels, reminding us of the incredible power of human industry and the need to protect our human dignity. As we face our own environmental challenges today, the history of Manchester serves as both a warning and a lesson in resilience. Manchester's story is the story of the modern world, a complex tapestry woven with threads of innovation, suffering, triumph, and tragedy. We honour the forgotten workers, the children and the families whose sacrifices laid the groundwork for the comforts we enjoy today. The river runs clearer now, washing away the stains of the past, but the memory of the Industrial Revolution flows on forever. The machines are quiet now, resting in museums, their roaring voices silenced, leaving us to contemplate the era they once defined. To look into the eyes of a child today is to see the freedom that was stolen from so many generations before them. Manchester remains a city of energy, a place that burned brightly to light the way for the rest of the world. Life always finds a way to endure, adapting and growing even in the harshest conditions that humanity can possibly create. The connections are now digital rather than physical. But Manchester's role as a global hub of innovation remains as strong as ever. We owe a debt to the brave souls who stood up against the machine, fighting for the rights that we often take for granted. Beauty was created alongside the ugliness, leaving us with architectural treasures that continue to inspire awe and wonder in visitors today. Living in these converted spaces allows us to physically inhabit history, bridging the gap between the 19th and 21st centuries. The trams that glide through the streets today are the descendants of the coal trains that once choked the city with smoke. But the true spirit of Manchester is not in its buildings, but in its people, known for their grit, humour and warmth. The worker bee remains the symbol of the city, a perfect emblem for a hive of industry that changed the world forever. From splitting the atom to discovering graphene, Manchester continues to be a place where the future is written in the present. The passion that once fueled political rallies now finds its expression in the stadiums, cheering for teams known around the globe. Even the rain, so often complained about, is part of the city's soul, washing the streets and reflecting the neon lights. New ideas are now brewed in coffee shops housed in the very structures where cotton was once spun into gold thread. Colour has returned to the streets, with vibrant art covering the grey walls, expressing a creativity that was once suppressed by labour. The Great Ship Canal, an engineering marvel of its time, now lies calm, a quiet reminder of the ambition of the past. The docks where goods were loaded are now home to media giants, broadcasting stories instead of shipping crates to the world. As the faces of the past fade into history, their legacy remains stamped on every brick and cobblestone of this city. We walk in their footsteps every day, often unaware of the struggles and the triumphs that took place beneath our feet. Manchester stands as a living history lesson, a testament to the capacity of humanity to build, destroy, and ultimately to renew. The stone faces on the buildings have seen it all, from the rise of the machines to the digital revolution. We enjoy the leisure and the rights that were fought for by those who had neither, honouring them through our freedom. Time moves forward relentlessly, but by looking back, we gain the wisdom needed to navigate the challenges of our own future. It is our duty to remember and to teach the next generation about the true cost of the clothes they wear. The echoes of Manchester's cotton mills can still be heard in the fast fashion industry that dominates our world today. Just as in the 19th century, our choices as consumers have a ripple effect that touches lives across the entire globe. We are all connected in a delicate web of trade and industry, a system that began right here in these streets. The fire of industry brings warmth and progress, but if left unchecked, it can also consume the very world it sustains. Manchester was the spark that ignited the modern world, a city that sacrificed itself to usher in the age of machines. The skies are clear now, but the shadow of the past looms long, reminding us of the fragility of our environment. Each brick in this city was laid by human hands, a silent testament to the labour that built the world we know. Work has changed, becoming safer and cleaner, but the drive to produce and to succeed remains the heartbeat of the city. We pause to remember those who are lost in the gears of progress, ensuring their names are not forgotten in time. As the sun rises over Manchester today, it illuminates a city that has risen from the ashes of its own industrial past. The future of Manchester is green and bright, a city that has learned the hard lessons of history to build better. It is a city of the world, home to people from every nation, brought together by the currents of history and trade. Like a ripple in the water, the events that happened here spread outward, changing the destiny of the entire human race. We breathe the clean air that our ancestors could only dream of, a gift that we must cherish and protect vigorously. Knowledge is now free and accessible to all, the ultimate victory of the people over the darkness of ignorance and poverty. Art and culture now flourish where smoke once choked the streets, proving that the human spirit can never be truly crushed. The river flows on, carrying the memories of Cottonopolis to the sea, washing away the pain, but keeping the history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the smoke and steam of the world's first true industrial city. Please subscribe to AI Historical Reconstruction for more deep dives into the past. History is waiting to be rediscovered.